Alright, so today I have this little compact Kenwood stereo system here. And so it says tuner right here, but up in the tuner display, I get absolutely nothing. Now it does work. I can turn the volume up, and I can change the stations. So that all works. But we have no display. And so if I look back in here, I can see that it is a vacuum fluorescent display. It's not an LCD. So the first thing I'm going to do is tear this apart and make sure we have the about 2.5 volt filament voltage that it needs for the vacuum fluorescent display to operate. Okay, so here is the back of the tuner display, and as you can hear, I have audio. I've got my voltmeter in the DC range. And so let's check the filament voltage, which is normally the ends of the fluorescent vacuum tube. 0 volts DC. Let's go to AC. I have 1.209. 1.21. Funny. Just a moment ago, before I checked this on camera, I had 0.9 volts. And it's rising. You see that? 1.213, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. I hate to say it, but I'm suspecting a high ESR capacitor somewhere. So let me go ahead and pull the schematic on this, and we'll see where this all comes from. Well, unfortunately, I cannot find a schematic on this. So we'll have to do this the old-fashioned way, using our brains. So, I've got my meter on continuity, so it's going to beep when the leads touch. And I'm just going to go ahead and check a couple of pins on this ribbon cable. Let's start at the other end. Oh, good. 0 ohms, 10 ohms. So let's read across the heater element of the vacuum fluorescent display. 9.8, 9.9 ohms. So let's read over here. 10.1. That's perfectly fine due to the resistance in the ribbon cable and the copper traces on the circuit board. So now my next question is, do these two pins lead directly back to this umbilical cord connector right here? Because this thing connects with one umbilical cord between the tape deck, the CD player, the amplifier, and the tuner. Okay, so meter back on continuity. Let me short the leads. We get a beep, that's good. And the thing I really like about this Fluke 117 is even if I just barely brush the leads, just for a split second, it registers a beep. So I'm going to put this on the second pin over here. We'll measure ohms on the first one, and we get 10 ohms again. Next, I'm going to come back here to the connector on the back of the unit, and I'm just going to go ahead and just graze every pin, and I get no beeps whatsoever. So that tells me that this power supply right here converts whatever voltage comes in to the filament voltages that we need up here. So I'm going to have to pull this board and kind of trace the circuit traces across this board and find out where does it come from. Maybe we got a bad cap over here somewhere. Maybe one of these regulators is not regulating the voltage, the vacuum fluorescent display correctly. Alright, so I know the lighting is not the best. So here's the two leads coming through the board right here. And we'll check ohms here. And I see 10 ohms on the meter. And so now I'm going to go ahead and trace these traces up and over here and back into this area, which is the power supply circuit. And we'll see if we can figure out what is missing. So I went ahead and traced the circuit back to this one trace right here that goes up into here, and this second trace right here which goes to here. So what is on the other side of this board between here and here? So I have a couple of 220 ohm resistors, it looks like. One's a 1/4 watt, one's an 1/8 watt. And then I've got two 100 microfarad 35 volt capacitors here. These are my number one suspect. Let's get the ESR meter out and check these guys. Okay, so now let's go ahead and zero out the meter, make sure it reads pretty close to 0. Good enough. So let's check these two capacitors right here. That one's pretty good. It's about 3/4 of an ohm. That one's pretty close to 30 ohms. That's bad. So let's go ahead and we'll just replace both of those capacitors and see if we get display lights after that. Alright, so paying particular attention to the negatives. Always watch your negatives when you pull the capacitor out, because sometimes the board is not silk screened correctly. So this one does show the positive side on the left, the negative on the right. That's perfect. Negative on the right, positive on the left. So I don't have any 100 at 35, but I do have a couple of 100s at 50. So as always, let's go ahead and ESR those first and make sure they're good. Alright, we will zero out the leads. Perfect. Here's the first capacitor. Just shy of 0, I love it. Here's the second capacitor. Absolutely perfect. About 1/10 of an ohm each. Alright, let's mount the board back in it, hook it up, and see if it works. Alright, so the caps are replaced. Let's go ahead and power it up. And I definitely see a clock. Let's hit the power button on the main unit. And I see a frequency display, as well as an EQ display. And we have volume. And the tuner's working great. Well, I certainly hope this video helps somebody out there. Remember, with your help, we can keep these things out of the landfill and out of the recycle bin and the e-waste facility. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.